Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, why is the Seattle Police Department so determined to protect an antique outhouse? And has Katie Wilson changed her stripes? But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
Well, the Washington State Legislature, the House of Representatives, has messed with the wrong journalists today. Me, Brandy Cruz, Jonathan Cho, through our friends over at the Citizen Action Defense Fund, our attorney, Jackson Maynard, have filed a lawsuit against the Washington State House, the Washington State Legislature, and the Capitol Correspondents Association. Why? Because they denied us press passes to cover the House. It is insane to me, absolutely insane to me, that they think this is a winning thing. And basically what this is, well, it's a little graphic if I say it on the air. It's a measuring contest. Lori Jenkins wants to show that she's in charge. She doesn't like dissent. She doesn't like anybody arguing with her. We've seen that in the press conferences. She can't keep it together. She gets very, very upset with journalists who ask real questions. And she wants to say, I am in charge, you are not. It's not shocking to me that she'd do something like this. What's more shocking to me is that the Senate didn't do it. We still have press passes in the Senate if we want them. And Bob Ferguson's office hasn't seemed to do it. We still have press passes there. This is only the Washington State House. What's even crazier to me, though, is this press release goes out from the Citizen Action Defense Fund today. And people have reached out, be like, good for you, glad you're suing, great. Nobody's reached out for an interview. This isn't about me getting on TV, but this actually shows the cowardice of media and why you need people like me, Brandy, and Jonathan Cho, and others. Why? The media is worried about losing access. The media is worried that if they highlight this issue, they will not get the taxes they so badly want from tech companies to fund their dying outlets. That is pure cowardice. Right now, Democrats are considering a bill that would tax tech companies in order to fund journalism, in order to fund dying outlets like the Seattle Times. When's the last time you looked at an actual issue of the Seattle Times? You've got the Climate Lab, paid for by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or whoever. Then you've got the Education Lab, paid for by whoever else. Without those grants, they wouldn't even exist. They have lost so many subscribers. It's because they do a terrible job. I used to say about the Seattle Times was that they were capable of doing good journalism, so it upset me when they didn't, because I saw when they did good stuff, and then I saw them completely cave. The Seattle Times is basically saying right now, they got their palms out, and they are saying, fund us or we're going to close, and you're stuck with people like Ari, Brandy, and Jonathan. This is Seattle Times president Alan Fiasco. Oh, sorry, did I say that wrong? Alan Fisco, advocating for taxes on tech so failing news organizations can get a grant.
I'm Alan Fisco, President and CEO of the Seattle Times Company. As we all know, the state of the media organizations across the state is in a significant state of decline. Since 2004, we've lost a third of our newspapers across the state. Just yesterday, the Washington Post announced 500 layoffs, 300 of which came from their newsrooms. Washington State is not immune from this problem. We have to do everything we can to protect our journalism jobs that remain and provide incentives to grow the number of journalists in our state, and Senate Bill 5400 will do just that. The tweaks that were made will expand the tent and widen the tent for those who will qualify. The bill will not impact general funds negatively. The modest surcharge in some tech companies that we talked about would be a drop in the bucket compared to the billions that they've made, many of which from our news content that they've used without any compensation. Google made $124 billion last year. $6 million represents 0.0048% of their profits. If you use that same number for someone who's making $70,000, it comes out to be $3.36. Hardly a big lift for the tech platforms. Many news organizations would benefit from the package of this bill, from the passage, including the Seattle Times. One benefit is saved jobs, but the real winners are Washington residents. And informed citizenry is the foundation of our democracy, and that's what we try to do every single day. This will protect jobs. We strongly support Senate Bill 5400 and hope that you advance it out of committee for give us a chance to sustain and grow our vital community service missions.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to call 1-800-562-6000. That's 1-800-562-6000. And I want you to say no to Senate Bill 5400. I want you to say no to the tax on tech to fund journalists. First of all, do you think that any media company will be honest if they get this money about the legislature that they got from the legislature? Of course they won't be. And you're seeing it today. A press release goes out saying that 3 journalists are suing the Washington State Legislature and the Capitol Correspondents Association, and nobody covers it because they're worried. Because right now they're getting grants from the Washington State Legislature, and they don't want to poke the bear. That's number one. This story has already gone viral nationally. We don't need the local media. But you would think, okay, I go on the front page of any local outlet. What's the only thing in the news today? Seahawks, Seahawks parade, Seahawks parade. Sam Darnold is getting taxed up the wazoo if they lean a little bit more conservative. We'll talk about that later in the show. I've got a whole analysis of that as it works in with our income tax. But nothing else is in the news. It is literally a slow news day. We had our friends from the news station going, anybody know any news that's going on here? Oh, Pacific Science Center selling the IMAX theaters. Let's go with that. Our friends in the newsroom are actually looking into our case right now. They're the only ones. So I got to ask this. Why is nobody covering this? Because they are afraid of upsetting the Democrats. They're afraid of not getting their grants. They're afraid of not getting our handouts. And that is not how you have a free press. That is how you have a state-controlled media. These guys are worried about losing access. These guys are worried about losing funding. And it's nauseating. And it shows me how cowardly so many of you are, including those of you who are in my phone, who, when there's a story out there that we break on this show, Ari, can you send me the details? Ari, what do you got on this? Ari, can you help us out? Absolutely. No problem. Here you go. And nothing regarding this? Hey, guys, you're about to lose one of your best sources of information, 3 of your best sources for information about what goes on here. You think I don't know which journalists around here are using my stuff? You think I don't know? And I don't care because I just want the word out. I am not that possessive. But when somebody's denying access to strangers just because they don't like their coverage, you say, that is not journalism. This needs to be fixed. If somebody was denying access to the stranger, would I laugh for 5 seconds? Absolutely. And then I would say, guys, this is wrong. Did I call out the Trump administration when they did everything they did? Absolutely, I did. Because you don't like CNN, you don't like the Associated Press. It's funny to watch President Trump roast them, and you get a lot more material with them being in the room, but excluding them entirely, then you have to deal with lawsuits. And the Trump administration lost. The Trump administration lost. So, this is beyond sickening. And I'll tell you something else. Our friends, Representative Dan Newhouse and Michael Baumgartner, signed a letter calling on Lori Jenkins to reverse this, calling on her to fix this. Now, the feds don't really have much control over local government, but both of them were in the Washington legislature, and they say this is wrong. And you know what's crazy to me? Don't you think somebody like Adam Smith, who we have on the show all the time, could easily write a letter and say, you know what? I disagree with Ari. We disagree on a lot of issues, but this is plain wrong. And anytime he's on my show, I'm on his show, I treat him fairly, and we have plenty of discussions, and he's a nice enough guy, and he's never rude or obnoxious. Shouldn't they step up with something like that? Look, Pramila Jayapal not coming to my defense, 100% get it. I call her the Democrat from Hamas. I understand why she wouldn't be willing to do it. But even Pramila Jayapal should say, if she wants the stranger to have access, somebody like me should have access too. I really like the letter that Representative Dan Newhouse and Michael Baumgartner wrote. Speaker Jenkins, we write to you to express our strong opposition to the Washington House of Representatives' decision to deny press passes for independent journalists Ari Hoffman, Brandy Cruz, and Jonathan Cho. These denials are a blatant violation of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution as protection of the freedom of the press. Our founding fathers designed a system of governance that allows any citizen to publicly question our government. The First Amendment exists to prevent discrimination and punishment of the press for the views, thoughts, or words in their coverage. The job of the press is to agitate, investigate, scrutinize our leaders and institutions, which distinguishes democracy from dictatorship. It is truly baffling and troubling that we find ourselves today addressing such clear violations of these bedrock principles. In this era of polarization and one-party control of all branches of government in the state of Washington, it is vital that independent journalists have the ability to ask difficult questions and hold elected officials accountable. We request that the House of Representatives immediately reverse this decision, issue press passes to these journalists, restore their ability to take part in the democratic process, and hold their government accountable. Regards, Representative Dan Newhouse, Representative Michael Baumgartner. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That is our jobs, because if we're not doing it, who is? If me, Brandy, and Jonathan moved out of Washington State tomorrow, who would be covering these stories? Not Como, not King 5, not Fox 13, nobody. So, some people have said online, Ari, you say all the time you're not a journalist. You say you're a commentator. And I say, yes, you are 100% correct. On KVI, we do commentary. I write for the Post Millennial. I'm the West Coast editor of the Post Millennial. I write articles for them all the time. I also write articles for KVI. I write exclusive content for KVI and for the Post Millennial. I write stories that nobody else has. We break stories that nobody else has. And maybe I think the problem is how we define a journalist. I always like to think a journalist was somebody like Walter Cronkite. Somebody who everybody trusted and everybody just went with them and there was no spin. Later in life did I learn that Walter Cronkite basically cost the U.S. the Vietnam War. We can get into that a whole nother time, but every reporter has bias. Every outlet has bias. Do you do endorsements when there's an election season? Guess what? You have bias, like the Seattle Times. Do you advocate for a tax? Guess what? You have bias. Do you have an opinion section? Guess what? You have bias. I don't know any news outlet that just writes the facts. All of them have their own bias. I would prefer outlets are honest about their bias. What is KVI's tagline? America's first conservative talk radio station. I like what our friend Lars Larson says on his show. He calls it talk journalism. Is what we do here not journalism? It's opinion. It's based on news. And a lot of times we're even breaking the news. We run the news at the top of the hour, every hour here on KVI from KVI News. The issue here is not they're saying we're not journalists, which I love that a lot of the Democrats in the comments are going to. They know they can't prove that. In fact, because of another case I even have a judge in Washington saying Ari Hoffman is a journalist and a member of the media when somebody tried to claim I wasn't in a previous suit where they tried to sue me personally and tried to file a restraining order on me personally. It's already precedent in Washington state law that Ari Hoffman is a journalist. That's not what this is about. It's about I have an opinion. Well, guess what? Everybody has an opinion. People like to say the Associated Press isn't biased. Have you ever read the Associated Press on election night? This year, on election night, I want you guys to all go read the Associated Press and how they describe races. When a Democrat wins, it's always Democrat of, let's say it's Mamdani. Democrat wins the New York City mayoral race. If a Republican had won it, Trump-supported MAGA candidate so-and-so wins the race. Watch. It's fascinating. They do it every single time. They don't say Zoran Mamdani, the anti-Semitic socialist. They say Democrat. He doesn't even call himself a Democrat. When Katie Wilson wins, they say Democrat. They don't even see far left. And then it's always far right, or it's always right-leaning. You never hear in any media outlet far left, left-leaning, socialist, communist, none of that, even when they identify as such. Even when they identify as such. I think maybe we need to come up with a new term. I like Lars's direction of talk journalism. I do like that. I'm not sure it's entirely what I want because I write things too. Or maybe we just say, if you consider yourself somebody who covers the news, somebody who has an opinion on current events, if you can adhere to the code of conduct of the Washington State Legislature or the governor's office or anybody else's office, come on in, influencers. Come on in. Because media is changing before our eyes. Print media completely going away. What are people reading now? Maybe the headline on the toilet in the morning if you're lucky. Maybe that's all they're reading. Maybe they read a little bit more if they're a little more curious. But there's a reason people aren't reading newspapers anymore. But also the bias has been exposed. I think COVID, with all the insanity surrounding these outlets covering COVID and ignoring basic science and not asking real questions, we saw that, like some other people call them, the mockingbird media in action. Whatever the state issues, that's what we're going to believe, and that is not how the media is supposed to work. The media is supposed to hold officials accountable. I've got my own internal process around here. You know me, I come up with nicknames for Jay Inslee and Bob Ferguson and everybody else. Is it the most professional thing? Absolutely not. But do you know what I tried to do before we started doing that? People only get a nickname if they don't actually respond to requests for comment or refuse to come on the show. That's it. Do I have a nickname for Adam Smith? Am I ever mean to him? I question him. I don't like a lot of his policies. I call them out on the show. But you only really get a nickname around here if you refuse to participate. Is it so hard to issue press releases? Is it so hard to do interviews? It's a few minutes out of your day. The hardest interview Bob Ferguson has done this year is when he went to see a Leonardo DiCaprio movie with the Seattle Times because the main character's name was Bob Ferguson. That's the hard-hitting journalism we have here in Washington State. That's it. So I've got two asks for you today. Two asks. Number one, I want you, if you are still subscribing to the Seattle Times, who just advocated for a tax on tech companies, which is yet another tax on these companies that are already fleeing Washington. I want you to unsubscribe from the Seattle Times. I want you to unsubscribe from the Seattle Times. The second thing, you'll save money. You spend it on whatever you want. Buy tickets to Stake of the Union. You'll save a few bucks. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to call the Washington State Legislature and say no to Senate Bill 5400. That's 1-800-562-6000. That's 1-800-562-6000. And number three, if you have an idea for what we call the new media, the new journalism we've created, whatever that is, text it. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Because maybe, if we come up with a better term for it, maybe that'll help. But right now, until then, we've got the legal system, and we're going to use the legal system. And we're going to take this case all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. Because it's absolutely ridiculous that because they want no dissent and they've paid off everybody else, they are trying to stop the few remaining journalists who are not on their payroll and not afraid of losing access. If we were afraid of losing access, we never would have sued. We're going to sue to protect our First Amendment rights and yours. Because the fact that they even think they can get away with this only in a one-party rule state, in your own echo chamber bubble, do you even think you can get away with this? Which is why we're taking them to court. We'll see you guys in court. Looking forward to it. Got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. The people who want to avoid court are the ones who break the pergola in Seattle. What is the pergola? Why does anybody care about this thing? And what's going to happen during the parade? We'll tell you when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. Slight correction is that Liberty Park Press did cover the lawsuit today. My friend David Workman, big Second Amendment advocate and First Amendment advocate for that matter, because the second protects the first, had an article about it today. I hadn't seen it because I was out checking out Daniel's Broiler in Bellevue today for Stake of the Union. We're doing a walkthrough, deciding on the drink names. We have one that's going to crack some of you up that I am not going to spoil the surprise of it. I am very excited. So check out Liberty Park Press. It's their lead story today about what's going on with me, Brandy, and Jonathan. Go check it out. They're the only ones, aside from the Linwood Times, who covered this. Go check it out. And also sign up for Stake of the Union. We have, less than 10 spots left or something like that, which means they'll probably be gone by the end of the show. If you want to have a New York steak with me and a whole bunch of our friends watching our Commander-in-Chief deliver the State of the Union on February 24th, sign up now at kvi.com. That's kvi.com before all the spots are gone. The night the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, Seattle Police Department wrote this: Hawks win! Please stay off the pergola. Now, I remember the last time the Seahawks won that the pergola was a big deal. For those of you who don't know what a pergola is, it is basically an iron and glass outdoor covering that looks like a really fancy bus stop in Pioneer Square. Now, what happened last time was a whole bunch of people climbed on this thing, broke it, and then did a crowd fundraiser to repair it. This thing has been bashed around. A truck destroyed it years ago. And then, after the Seattle Police Department posted this the other night when the Seahawks won, they wrote, "This one is for the people who are on the pergola. Why? Please stop." So, of course, a whole bunch of people responded, "You're the police." Instead of tweeting about it, why don't you go stop them? I did like Hilaria Bryden, that funny Twitter account that makes fun of Joe Biden. I'm still up here and I'm never coming down, Free Palestine. And then all the people who say, we're going after the pergola. And Seattle Police Department said, but we said please. And everybody's responses are, why don't you arrest the people damaging the historic pergola? Then you get this. Como News, historic Pioneer Square pergola damaged by revelers after Seahawks Super Bowl win. This thing has been damaged so many times, I don't know why we keep saying saving it. And here's something else. I went on Wikipedia and I said, I wonder where this thing came from. Is it left over from some historic building? Because I know I've seen it on the Seattle Underground tour. Why is this thing still there? It was an outhouse cover. It was the cover of outdoor restrooms. That is what it is. It is the leftover of a bathroom. I cannot think anything more Seattle than protecting the historic cover of an outhouse. This is the most Seattle thing ever. And everybody's worried about protecting this thing?
What year were those outhouses there?
I will tell you, sir. I have it right here in front of mine. It was built in 1909.
Oh, wow. That's
so
pretty, wow.
Still 20th century for your outhouses. They were there. That's right. The historic outhouse cover. This is what we're protecting around here in Pioneer Square. The Victorian-style triangular structure was designed by Julian F. Everett, a local architect, and originally functioned as a comfort station. A comfort station. No, it was not like the stuff you hear about on the Seattle Underground tour. Not that kind of comfort station. No, my friends. It was meant as an outhouse. It was a cover for an outhouse. And we've been protecting this thing for years. In fact, it was restored in 1972. It was destroyed by a truck in 2001. And then the last time the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl, it was damaged again. Why are we protecting this thing? Really, why are we protecting it? I know it's pretty-ish, but really, guys, this is dumb. Just a waste of money. If you disagree with me, give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757, especially now that you know it was the cover of an outhouse. Not every historic building, not every old building has to be historic or preserved, my friends. It just doesn't have to. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Corey in Renton. Corey, what's up, man?
Well, hey, I have a question about the Seattle School District and how they're not going to allow students to go to the parade to celebrate a victory, but they would, in fact, ask them to leave school to protest.
Yes, I did see that, by the way. So this is my favorite thing, right? This is like COVID, right? you can't go to school because then you're large groups of people. But make sure you go to the social justice rally and burn down your neighborhood with large groups of people, right? It's the same thing all over again.
Yeah. So why is it though? Why aren't some parents or lawyers going to sue the schools for actually letting the kids leave without parental permission for the protest?
So I'll tell you what, Corey, I'm going to ask you a favor. I know Seattle schools did this because it was written up in the paper. If you find an actual email from Seattle schools saying this, which I'm sure is out there somewhere, or any of our listeners have it, please email it to me, ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com. I would love to write this up. Now, me personally, you know what I would do if I was the kids? There's a social justice protest down on 4th Avenue, and we have to go protest ICE. There's an ICE action on 4th Avenue. In fact, there's ice in the Coca-Colas that's going to be served. There's ice on the streets because it's going to be cold tomorrow. There's ice everywhere. We have to go protest the ice. You think maybe they'll let them out of school?
Well, just tell the teachers that they know that there's going to be an ICE activity and ICE agents are going to be at the parade and that they have to go there and block their path.
This is what we're going to do. Is this like the modern day version of calling in a bomb threat? Okay, don't do this, but does this mean you just call Seattle Public Schools like they did a couple weeks ago with the fake ICE hoax and say, we see ICE. They are operating on 4th Avenue and they're making their way from the stadiums to the Space Needle. We need students right now to come protest. Do you think that'll work?
Yeah, and the teachers will give them the supplies to make the signs.
There we go. Fantastic. Actually, I'll tell you, is my real concern is that the parade tomorrow is not going to be targeted by terrorists or anybody else, but it's going to be targeted by the radical lunatics around here. I will say this, Corey, for the record, I did pull my kids out for the parade last time, and it was one of the biggest parenting mistakes I made because it sends the wrong message. The kids should be in school. So actually this year, my daughter, she is keeping her butt in school. I'm not taking her out of school for the parade. They shouldn't be leaving to protest ICE, and they shouldn't be leaving for the parade. They're just going to have to wait till they're older and get to go as adults.
And why does Seattle do the protest on a work day? Why don't they do it on a weekend?
There you go. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, they do it on the weekday because then they don't have to pay city employees overtime to do cleanup.
There you go. I was going to say during the weekdays they can claim social justice exemptions for getting out of Starbucks work or whatever it is, but your answer is way more practical. Corey, appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, looks like the majority of Americans are in favor of voter ID, and the Democrats are still clinging to this idea that minorities don't know how to get ID. It's so racist, the soft bigotry of low expectations. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Years ago, our friend Ami Horowitz, he does a lot of those man on the street type videos, did a great video where he went to, I think it was Harvard, and he starts interviewing the people on campus about whether or not they think why they think that there shouldn't be voter ID. And almost all of them repeated the line. What was the line? The line was, well, these people, they just don't know how to get ID. They don't know how to get ID. And then he went to Harlem. He started asking people, do you know where to get ID? I'm going to play that again today because all these copycats are doing versions of this exact same thing around Washington, D.C. and other cities today because the Democrats are still refusing this. So I'm going to play this video again today in case you haven't heard it before.
Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so like, we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. Like, that's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy camera?
I know, right?
That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's that, on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Would you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to work the internet.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually
Unlimited.
Unlimited data.
Mm-hmm.
I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's why my thought process on it.
I just think that's ignorant. Ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word
Very,
I'm hearing
very
a lot.
ignorant.
Ignorant.
Very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because, you know, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
You're judging somebody, but you're judging them because they're black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Are you
Love
cool?
showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Here's a perfect response from Mike Kerb over on the text line. If getting an ID is so hard, why can Andrea Suarez get replacement IDs for homeless people within 2 or 3 days? Exactly. Everybody knows that is a BS talking point that the Democrats use all the time, that it's so hard for minorities to get ID. They can't use the internet to get ID. They can't go to the DMV. It's nonsense. So how do the majority of Americans feel about voter ID for elections? Let's go to CNN, my friends. This is CNN.
The racial breakdown? Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
I think everybody agrees with that. If there is somebody who doesn't have a good reason for that and wants to call into the show and challenge me on that, you give me a call, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. I just had my pacemaker named Sparky put in me just this past Friday.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better then. That's good news. We'll have you around for a while.
No, not quite. I'm not supposed to move my left arm up in the air for at least 30 days.
Oh, okay.
So that's good enough. So on top of that, though, I think I'll be perfectly okay for the rest until March 8th. But anyway, getting back to this Seahawks parade tomorrow, I don't think I find a need to go down there to that parade tomorrow because, first of all, who wants to basically sit on a packed link light rail or a packed city bus and smell urine, feces, and drugs?
But Leonard, we're going to be at the parade. We're going to be on 4th Avenue at the Jiffy Lube. KVI is going to be there. Our sister stations are going to be there. Aren't we worth sitting on the packed light rail that smells of urine to come see us?
That's you guys. But me, I'm just staying away from it.
I understand.
I'm just staying away from it.
I understand. I do understand, Leonard. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You stay home. You recover. Make sure your heart is ticking A-OK. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Scott in Issaquah. Scott, what's up?
Hey, Ari. I just can't get away from you guys.
What's going
today
on?
I had my own issue. I was trying to I was trying to pay the fee for my trademark for my small business.
Yeah.
And the USPTO office has made it so you cannot do it without this new digital, all this garbage. They're trying to have all the digital garbage, the AI and the fingerprints and the eye scanning and all this nonsense. They won't even let you send a paper form application with a check to them. And I've noticed a lot of businesses are doing this, even like Stevens Pass. They won't take cash to go skiing anymore. And who is pushing for all this? The Democrats are pushing for all this digital garbage, all this crap, and they're trying to sit there and act like some people can't have access to computers, like they care. Yeah, right. I mean, these people, if they want to go and vote, they can go get a regular ID with a barcode on the back. They can scan the barcode on the back of the ID, but they can scan on my forehead or my hand.
You know what I can't wait for, Scott? I can't wait for that moment. Because the Democrats are pushing a bill right now that could open the door to electronic voting. I can't wait till they say, this allows access to all these people, because then I go, wait a minute, I thought you said all these minorities couldn't access the internet. I mean,
oh, man, it's bad. I'm so ticked about it right now. I mean, I'm tired of the digital stuff. There's nothing wrong with filling out a form and sending it from your house, from your address, and paying with a check. It's probably the safest way to still do it.
Yeah.
I don't understand what this is all about.
I don't get it at all. I mean, every single day it seems like I get another notice from some company. Your data has been compromised. So glad we went to all internet on so many of these things. Appreciate the call, Scott. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, Apple News is busted for excluding conservative, moderate outlets and forcing the left-leaning ones on you. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. in my house, we're PCs, right? We do the Microsoft thing. But my second son has an iPhone, and he does all the Apple stuff. I never liked Apple. I did the Apple stuff with the iPods and stuff for about 5 minutes, and it was just, no, it's not for me. I like the Microsoft stuff. Fine, that's me, whatever. Bill Gates and all his whatever, I like the Microsoft product better. Fine, I'm old. Anywho, my son would always come to me and say, Dad, no matter what I do, Apple News, even when I select I want to see Fox News or New York Post or Ari Hoffman show or anything like that, it always shows me the left stuff. Why is that? And I said, well, that's because they want you to read the left stuff. He goes, but Dad, I selected Fox News and New York Post, and I want to see only news about the Mets. And all this stuff, it's supposed to be tailored to me. And yet I just keep seeing the AP, and I keep seeing BBC, and I keep seeing Al Jazeera or whatever else it is. And I said, son, welcome to biased media. This is what they do. They have deals with these news outlets. Now, let's say it's not biased. Let's just say it's monetary. Apple News gets their news from whoever, and they push that out, and that's going to be at the top. That's their partnership. Welcome to capitalism. Or, worse yet, it's bias. Well, what's interesting is Apple News app has actually had a study done on it. It's been favoring left-wing outlets while right-wing publications went entirely unfeatured. Now, that's the weird thing. So let's say, Kevin, do you have an Apple or you have an Android? What do you got over there?
I
iPhone or
proudly have an Apple
You
iPhone.
do? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever use the news app?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you ever select your sources? How does it work for you?
No, I don't get that granular. I just kind of skim it and see like what the top stories are.
Right. See, that's what most people do. And most people just go, okay, here's the news of the day, and that's why a lot of people think Trump is the devil.
Yeah.
Because every headline is Trump, 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 Trump.
Yeah,
My son would bring it to me one day, and literally every headline was about Trump.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that it leans that way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's pretty obvious. And that story that you have on it, don't they admit to having it being like humans are actually the ones that are
that's the more interesting thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, hey, this
Curating.
story.
Sorry, I was looking for the word curating.
Curating, right. Yeah. It's not that, okay, that there's some bot designed to only push this stuff. No, there's actually people who are the ones pushing this stuff up. Now, let's give benefit of the doubt for a second. They don't deserve it at all in this case. Let's say it's the Ari Hoffman Media Company for a second here. And AP pays to have their stuff featured at the top. Fine. We'll feature AP at the top. And then anything you want comes right after that. Fine. That's capitalism. That's how we roll. That's how you have your cake and eat it too. No. The people at Apple were the ones messing around on the inside. A new report from the media research company analyzed 620 stories featured in high-traffic morning slots between January 1st and January 31st. They found 440 stories came from left-leaning outlets, 180 from centrist sources, and 0 from right-leaning publications, which is how I know most of you don't know about the analysis we're going to do on Sam Darnold's salary when we come back, because that was actually in the New York Post. MRC's Dan Schneider told the New York Post, this is a subliminal form of propaganda paid for with corporate dollars, but without campaign finance disclosures. It could be an illegal campaign contribution. Apple's top stories went 97 days without a conservative outlet. The last one that appeared was on November 5th. Not so happy about who won the election, is it now? Quick, put everything, get rid of all of it, get rid of everything. Otherwise, Republicans might win again. When we come back, my friends, how Sam Darnold had to pay to be in the Super Bowl because of the amount of taxes California put on him. And guess what? They're coming here to Washington. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the Pacific Science Center IMAX Theater is getting sold. Does that mean redevelopment is coming for the beloved site? But before we get to any of that, my friends, I want to tell you it is now your chance to win two tickets to see Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena on August 3rd. That's right, my friends. All you have to do is text the word I give you to the number I give you, and you will be automatically entered for your chance to win two tickets to see Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena. Today's word is star, as in shooting star, but just the word star, S-T-A-R. Send that on over. You could be a star.
Or as in Shining Star, which is the name of this
I
song.
was getting there. You cut me off, man. I'm getting there.
You said shooting. You said shooting star.
We're there, too. S-T-A-R. Text it to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Do not send us your name. Do not send us your phone number. Do not send us anything else. Just send us the word itself, my friends. That's right. Send over the word star, S-T-A-R, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Switching gears now, did you know that Sam Darnold, the Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, had to pay to be in the Super Bowl? It actually ended up costing him money because of California's insane taxes. He's reportedly going to owe more than $178,000. More than the $178,000 he earned playing for Seattle in the 29-13 victory over the Patriots at Levi's Stadium. According to Sportico, Darnold's bill to the Golden State will be $249,000 following Seattle's latest championship. The outlet stated that this is due to California's jock taxes, which force pro athletes who don't live in state to fork over percentages of their yearly income based on the number of days they work in California. And this is exactly the kind of tax that Bob Ferguson and the Washington Democrats want to put here. Do you know why players want to go play for Florida or other states that don't have as many taxes? It's going to hurt our recruiting prospects when you have problems like this. The days have been called duty days. And after the Seahawks touched down in NorCal on February 1st, according to the New York Post, Darnold and the rest of his team accumulated 8 days total by playing in Santa Clara on Sunday night. The Seahawks are expected to amass even more in 2026 due to games they will play in the state next season. Never mind the ones they're going to play here. They're going to be hit with the payroll tax, the income tax, and then the jock tax too. Sportico reported is why Darnold, who's in the middle of a 3-year, $105 million contract with the Seahawks, will ultimately lose some $71,000 for lifting his first ever Lombardi trophy. Based on the way Darnold celebrated Sunday, though, it seems it's a tab he won't mind picking up, according to the New York Post. Yeah, but what does this do for recruitment of players? What does this do if, I don't know, a whole bunch of people want a certain basketball team to come here? You know, I've got a theory on this whole Turd Ferguson meeting with the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, last week. You remember all that? I think what happened was everybody keeps talking about how there might be 2 NBA expansion teams. You're only going to do 2. You're always going to do an even number because otherwise your leagues are all messed up. So you have to have somebody else to play against. So they keep talking about Las Vegas and Seattle. My theory is, and we filed a public disclosure request, so we're going to find out. My theory is it was going to be Seattle. And then they caught wind of all these taxes, and the owners all said, nope, we're not going there because it's only going to get worse and we can't make as much money. And all the teams are going to lose money if we play there in Seattle. So what other city wants a basketball team? I think that's what happened. I think this was an emergency meeting that Bob Ferguson had to try and save it. We'll make whatever deal you want. You want us to put a carve out? By the way, to my Republican friends in the legislature, I need you to do a favor for me. I need you to scan the legislation in the tax that just got passed by the Senate, and I want you to see if there's anything that can be used as a carve out for the Sonics, because then you'll know I'm right. Then we'll have two news stories. One, the Sonics are coming, and two, Bob Ferguson made a tax carve-out for them to make them come. And I know a lot of you listen to the show. So, guys, when you get a chance today, do me a favor, check the legislation and say, wait a minute, wait. I see what you did there. Or when the Democrat version comes out in the House, say, wait, hang on. I see what you did here. If there's something that could be a carve-out for the Sonics, guarantee you that's what's going on. And what this thing is going to do is cause wealth flight. So, according to Fox Business, Mark Zuckerberg is leaving California to relocate to Florida. That's right. He is out of the Golden State. Why? Because of the taxes. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is the latest California billionaire heading for Florida, snapping up a massive waterfront mansion in Miami's exclusive billionaire bunker, as Golden State lawmakers push for a proposed 5% tax on the ultra-wealthy. Hey, guys, our tax is going to be way more than that, infinitely more. Zuckerberg and his wife are buying a newly built mansion on Indian Creek. Hey, that is racist. They are called First Nations, okay? That is First Nation Creek right there. Indigenous Peoples Creek. One of the area's most expensive enclaves. Oh, my God, that's so good. Well, that's so good. You're telling me that all the rich tech liberals and all the other rich liberals in Florida live on Indian Creek? Oh, that's great. Oh, that's just perfect. The deal has not been confirmed as closed. Sources with knowledge of the transaction told the Wall Street Journal. Neighbors said Zuckerberg plans to move in by April, because he doesn't want to take the chance of that tax going into action and taking all his money. Troy Dean, Home CEO Troy Ippolito, told Fox News Digital, people like Zuckerberg plan 3 moves ahead. The billionaire tax chatter has a lot of Palo Alto owners doing real math. If you're staring a potential 5% hit in the head of net worth, Florida becomes a business decision. And Indian Creek is the clearest signal you're serious, because it's built for privacy and control. Oh, this is even better. This is even better. So I thought you can't live on occupied land, or there's no borders on occupied land. You're saying it's more security and control at Indian Creek? Hey, maybe Billie Eilish will move there soon. What tribe do we take that one from? Oh, the hypocrisy is amazing. Quote, this is a loud signal that South Florida is a primary market now. When someone at Zuckerberg's level buys here, it changes buyers' psychology overnight. If that tax actually moves forward, you'll see impact first at the very top, because there's so little trophy inventory. The nearly 2-acre property is estimated to be worth $150 million to $200 million based on comparable sales. And the reported seller is a limited liability company tied to Jersey Mike Subs founder Peter Sancro? I don't know what it is. He cashed out big in 2024 when he sold the majority stake in Jersey Mike's to Blackstone for $8 billion, including debt. His home sold to Zuckerberg was off-market, a common move for ultra-wealthy buyers seeking privacy. Hang on. The guy behind Instagram and Facebook has privacy concerns. Do you now? This is the best story ever. Aerial views of the property show that sits across from Biscayne Bay, features a private dock, wraparound terraces, lush landscaping, and waterfront pool. Charming blue shutters, oh so charming, and other elaborate amenities. By the way, none of this sounds like $200 million worth. It doesn't to me. I mean, unless the house comes with an indoor bounce house room or something, and maybe a full-on arcade built on the inside. I can't even imagine wrapping my head around that. Unless it comes with a built-in car collection and like a massive garage where the cars move around like in Fast and Furious 3, Tokyo Drift, where they're in that, like, you know, that garage where the cars are all stacked and move around on the robo garage. Then I can see the $200 million.
My niece moved into an apartment complex that has that kind of parking in Everett, where
There's one in Everett?
Yeah, apparently. My brother was telling me about this.
That's cool.
And they had to shut it down because it broke down so often that your car would be stuck in this thing. You couldn't get it out.
Oh, that's great. I did hear a theory once when electric cars were all the rage, and they said that they're worried that they're heavier than normal cars.
Right.
And New York City landlords were worried about parking garages collapsing because it wouldn't be able to take the weight if everybody all of a sudden had the electric cars. I said, well, that's horrifying. Why'd your building collapse? Electric cars. One entrance. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Wait, hang on. Back to Indian Creek. This is even better. Indian Creek, the occupied land for the rich, wealthy, lefty billionaires. Quote, it's one entrance, tightly controlled. Only about 41 homes, so you decide who comes in and out. Sounds like you guys like your little border wall there in Indian Creek. You're minutes from Miami. It feels isolated. If you're a global name, you want a true private backyard, this is as close as it gets. Meta responded after publication, telling Fox News Digital, we do not have a comment. That's your response. Great. Some of Zuckerberg's new neighbors on Indian Creek include Jeff Bezos, Tom Brady, Carl Icahn, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Julio Iglesias, and a bunch of other people whose names I don't know, but maybe your kids do. Zuckerberg's move comes on the heels of longtime California-based billionaires who have solidified residence in South Florida in response to a proposed California wealth tax. Through the initiative, which has not received the required 875,000 signatures to qualify for the November ballot, the proposal, backed by Service Employees International Union United Healthcare Workers West, would impose a one-time 5% tax on the net worth of California residents with assets exceeding $1 billion. So we're doing just the millionaires, right? Is that what we're doing around here? It's crazy, guys. You think the exact same thing isn't happening here? That's exactly what they want. And what do you think's going to happen? Of course, the people with the money are going to flee. We did an article yesterday saying that a lot of the tech people are actually going back to San Francisco. They're going back to San Francisco because they're worried about what's happening here. Somebody shared this. Our friend Data Diggs X over on Twitter got this from Reddit. A Redmond metal shop, which is called the Metal Shop Gold and Silver, is closing because of the out-of-control tax policies in Washington state. They have a sign on their door, due to Washington taxes' new bullion tax beginning on January 1st, 2026, we are permanently closed because it is unconstitutional and immoral to tax honest money. We will be leaving the socialist state of Washington. We wish everyone the best of luck with Washington's out-of-control tax policies and its continued assault on your financial freedom. Now, I don't know if this is real. It came from the Reddit, but if it is, they're not wrong about anything they're saying. Not wrong at all. In fact, here's something else. I saw this in National Review. National Review is talking about the Super Bowl parade tomorrow. And don't forget that KVI is going to be at 4th and Lenora in the parking lot of the Jiffy Lube that's over there. We're going to be all set up. You can come by, say hi to me. I'll be hanging out over there if you can get there. But I like that this article by John Fund in National Review says it's time for Washington state's voters to wake up to the dangers that progressive lawmakers pose. When Seattle held its deserved Super Bowl victory party this week, when it holds its deserved Super Bowl party this week, it will be in downtown that has a shadow of its former prosperity. More than 35% of office and retail space downtown is vacant, with even some prime waterfront properties sitting empty. The metro area as a whole is weak. Its joblessness rate was over 5.1% last November, up from 4% a year before. The region lost 12,900 jobs last year, the first annual decline since the recession of 2009. It also has the highest inflation rate of any major metro region in the country, with consumer prices soaring 29% from 2021 through 2025. Housing prices are through the roof in Seattle, with the median price of a single-family home at $907,000 in December. In each of the past 3 years, the number of homes on the market over $5 million in value has grown, with an exodus of high-income residents. The explanation is clear. Seattle now punishes job creation with a minimum wage of $21.30 an hour and a payroll tax on firms with payrolls over $8 million. In 2022, the state enacted a 7% capital gains tax. Washington Democrat Governor Bob Ferguson has just proposed a 9.9% income tax on millionaires. Seahawks players who will each collect a $178,000 bonus for winning the Super Bowl, would be affected directly. The Ferguson-backed levy includes a jock tax that would sock both home team and visiting players based on their duty days spent in Washington state. Critics say a 9.9% rate would harm the competitiveness of Seattle-based teams, since Washington would move from being one of the 9 states with no income tax to one with the 8th highest rate on pro athletes in the nation. If the Ferguson tax is passed in the legislature, let's hope it's challenged in a referendum. Since 1932, voters have rejected imposition of income tax 11 straight times. National Review says it's time for voters to wake up to the dangers facing their state. In 2017, CNBC ranked Washington as the nation's top state for business. Since then, progressive local and state legislatures have done everything possible to tarnish that. CNBC now ranks the state as 41st in business friendliness and 48th in cost of doing business. Seattle may have taken home the Super Bowl trophy this year, but when it comes to economic sanity, it's a sporting straitjacket. John Fund is 100% correct. 100%. I should actually reach out to him, ask him if he wants to come on the show tomorrow to talk about the Seahawks Super Bowl parade. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Stilgar in Newcastle. Stilgar, what's up, man?
Well, I'm back on this where it's like, okay, so you're gonna move, you're gonna take wherever you got to move, all these billions of dollars so you don't have to pay. It's like, can you take, I don't know, 5% of whatever you're going to get taxed and put it behind an initiative campaign, or go put it to electing somebody who isn't bat crap crazy?
Well, here's the thing. Stilgar, why would they care anymore? They're gone. It's not their problem. How many people look at Seattle in the rearview mirror and say, bye-bye?
Right, but it's nice here. Why don't you just, they've already put down roots, theoretically. You've already built your mansion here.
Well, let's do this, Stilgar. Let's do history for a minute, right? Let's remember that back in 2019, we had Amazon dropping a money bomb into the elections, and Seattleites reacted poorly because apparently big money's only good when it comes in from the left, like Nick Hanauer, who also left town, by the way. So what did they do? They rejected it, and then they said, okay, we're going to vote for the socialists, and Amazon left. Amazon tried. Now, mind you, we know how a lot of the Amazon workers vote, but Amazon tried, and they got punished for their efforts, so they left town. I mean, look, if a guy like Brian Haywood picked up tomorrow, I wouldn't blame him at all. I don't want him to, but I wouldn't blame him at all, because they're literally after people like him who have tried everything possible to try and stop this.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe not Seattle. Maybe you just blow the bridges and we'll just call it good, and, they can have their socialist communist paradise. But here on the east side, here, Washington State in general, what about Bellevue?
Yeah, but here's the problem. If you bail on Seattle still has the highest population. King County still has the highest population. If you bail on that, you lose. I actually blame a lot of people in the local parties because they should have been making inroads to a lot of people in the tech world. We had those 2 tech guys on the show last week who were talking about how most of them don't even engage with the voting. We like to think, they're all a bunch of liberals. So many of them, like so many small business owners, don't even think about this stuff until it affects them directly. We should be making inroads with all those communities to try and turn Washington around, and unfortunately, I don't see anybody doing it. Stilgar, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, a local mom is assaulted by a bunch of high school kids out in Issaquah. I thought that stuff only happened in Seattle. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Well, it looks like kids in Issaquah learned how to assault people. Yeah. Oh, wait, that's bad, right? According to an exclusive report from our friend Jonathan Cho, an Eastside mother was brutally assaulted Monday morning by a mob of Issaquah High School students during an anti-ICE classroom walkout. She said it was totally unprovoked. The cops just watched it all go down without interfering. Jonathan Cho had the opportunity to interview her. Give a listen.
All of a sudden, we stumble upon a whole bunch of kids. And I'm like, do your parents know that you guys are out of school? Somebody bumps into me. Somebody says like, you to me. I get my hair, it just turned violent. So fast, I get my hair pulled. I don't know which way is up.
Get off of her! Get off of her! Get off of her!
I knew that there were police officers there. I saw them just before. I'm waiting on them to come and rescue me from being assaulted. I'm like, how much longer is this going to be? I finally come to, I see a man. I was moved so far away from my friend. I see a man here, and I'm like, you have to help me.
Okay, I'm just going to stop it there for one little teensy tiny second. We're gonna stop it right there. Those kids were supposed to be in school. That never should have happened. The school is now liable for that. Also, what are you teaching the kids where somebody's videoing them out there doing a protest out in public and they decide to assault them? What the teacher, what the principal have to say for themselves out there in the school district? So, dear Issaquah Middle School families and staff, I want to make you aware that today a group of our students participated in a student-organized and led walkout in response to concerns related to immigration and customs enforcement activities. Approximately 9:50 a.m., an estimated 100 Issaquah Middle School students left our building, joined about 250 Issaquah High School students. Together, they walked down 2nd Street towards East Sunset Way in City Hall area. Administrators and school staff did not lead or participate in the event, but were present to supervise and ensure student safety on or near campus. So you didn't do anything to stop the nice lady from being assaulted. During the protest, we received reports of items being thrown into the street, reportedly bags of ice that may have been taken from nearby stores. Just taken from nearby stores. So you guys are responsible for theft and assault. That's what we are. While our students have First Amendment rights, we will continue to encourage them to conduct themselves peacefully. They continue to? They haven't conducted themselves peacefully, but we're going to keep letting them out of school. We won't let them out of school for the Seahawks parade, but we're going to let them out of school to go rob from stores and assault people to protest ICE. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, Bob Ferguson's income tax is going to hit every single one of us, not just the millionaires. We're going to hear about it from the Washington legislatures who are trying to stop it. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. The Democrats love talking about affordability. And now the biggest doozy they're about to hit all of us with is this new income tax. As I say all the time, anybody who calls it a millionaire's tax wants it. Anybody who calls it an income tax understands it. Joining us now on the Warrior Injury Law studio line is House Republican Floor Leader April Connors. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me today, Ari. And, I am definitely calling it an income tax. I just want to make that clear.
Well, you're not the one I'm worried about. You know what it is,
I know.
right? But our friends in the media, they never talk about how it is unconstitutional because it's targeting one specific group. They never talk about how it could easily be expanded the way other taxes do. And it's not even a hard analysis. So what's the status of this thing right now?
So it just got passed out of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, I believe yesterday. I heard a rumor that they're supposed to expect it on the House or the Senate floor this week. So once it passes the Senate, it will make its way over to the House to make it over for committee hearings. So I'm not going to see it for a little bit of time. As you know, we just start. As a matter of fact, we're on the floor right now. I just snuck into an office to talk to you, but we won't see it over here for a week or so. I think my interpretation is they want to get this out of the Senate as quickly as possible because you saw how many co-sponsors, I mean, pretty much a majority of the Senate Democrats are actually on that bill. So they want to get it out of the Senate and over to the House because they know it's going to be a little bit harder sell in the House than it was in the Senate.
So you're saying there are some Democrats who are opposed to this over in the House?
Well, we're sure hoping so. We're hearing that there are some members that are not super excited about it.
Gotcha. Now, I would assume they'd be more afraid after they saw that over 60,000 people breaking all records for people registering con signed into something like that, right?
I think there would have been more than 60,000, Ari, because I don't know if you noticed, but there was a couple times I was trying to log into the system to see how many people were con, and I get the eternal wheel of death because I think so many people were trying to log in that we didn't even get everybody.
Oh, it's because we're all bots, right? We're not actually real people registering. We're all bots, right?
We're not bots. And as a matter of fact, they've been scrolling through all the pros and the yeses and nos, pros and cons for that bill, and they've seen, there were a couple duplicates, but really not very many at all. And so I don't think it was bots. I think that people, the word's getting out. And we saw this back in like 2010 when they were talking about a state income tax, it was polling where they thought they could pass it on the ballot. And then as soon as people found out more information about it, they changed their opinion. And I think the same thing will happen this time. People's opinion is starting to change because, as you know, the Democrats have already told us that we can't trust them. They showed it, and they've told us that we can't trust them on this issue. Representative Springer at a Bellevue chamber basically said by 2031 he thought it would be an income tax on everyone, and we've probably all heard of Jamie Peterson and his pie crust promise that he made as well.
Yeah, I actually think the Democrats actually just gave you a gift without realizing it. So if they think this is all bots, now they're starting to talk about electronic voting. Now you could say to them, wait a second, guys, you think this stuff is susceptible to bots? I don't think we could do the electronic voting, right?
Yeah, it's a super bad idea. Yeah, we just turned the narrative right around. Exactly.
Okay, so we're over in the House now, and you have people like Larry Springer saying, hey, they're definitely going to expand this thing to an income tax. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. You see all this pushback, all this opposition. Do you think the Democrats are starting to get nervous? Because something I've seen during session, I've seen this a few times. A few of your colleagues have said, Ari, you have to check out the video of this hearing because they go into executive session when somebody's not towing the party line, and then they come back out and they're ready to vote. Do you think they're going to start threatening their own members? Hey, if you don't vote for this, we're going to primary you or who knows what?
We've seen it before. I mean, we've sat and waited for the Ds on different bills for hours, why they get pulled into offices and positions threatened and different things to happen to make them vote the way of the majority. And unfortunately, when those kind of things happen, they are not representing their districts any longer. They are representing what the majority party wants in Olympia. And it's super unfortunate that I would like to say I've never seen that happen in Olympia, but I certainly have. I saw it in the housing committee last week where two members, I think, wanted to vote no for a bill not to make it out of committee, and they both gave these really, we're going to vote yes, soft speeches today because they didn't want to vote for the bill. But they knew that they had to get it out of committee to move it forward for certain members.
I think you guys might want to mention to your social media folks to start clipping those and putting them up there where the person said no, and then they come back in and like, yes, I will, say the line like right out of The Simpsons. That's social media gold right there.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking with
Soft yes.
Yes, absolutely. We're talking with House Republican Floor Leader April Connors. Switching gears for a minute, we spoke when I was in Olympia just a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the level 3 sex offenders that people want to release out into Kennewick, that the Democrats want to release out there. And now it seems like the Senate Democrats have done everything they can to make sure this actually happens and stop every single piece of legislation that was going to put roadblocks in the way to keep people safe. Do I have that correct?
You have that correct. Super discouraging and disappointing. In the House, they would not hear any of our bills. Roger Goodman runs that committee. They call it the Community Safety Committee. I have renamed it the Criminal Safety Committee because pretty much everything that happens in that committee is helping criminals and not helping anyone in our community, especially when it comes to a bill like this. And as you know, Claire Wilson did hear one of the bills. It's one that I had dropped over in the House as well. And just was basically like, I think it needs too much work. And what needs work is helping our communities with these sex offenders that are coming out, where they're trying to put them into neighborhoods that there's children right next door, community pool right across the street. It is absolutely devastating. I will say my community is fighting back like nothing I've ever seen. I'm super proud of what they're doing right now.
That's amazing. I actually think what we should do, somehow without doxing them, I actually think what we should do is propose bills next time that says all sex offenders go into these neighborhoods and it's wherever these guys live who are supporting it. What do you think?
I don't think that that's a bad idea. They probably wouldn't be super happy about it, but this house that they're putting in is very close to my personal home. And I do know that the people who have been purchasing these homes to put these sex offenders in, they're doing it for a business opportunity. And the person that bought the house in Kennewick, they own numerous other homes. And so they're basically looking for homes and communities because each county has to have their fair share of these like horrible level 3 sex offenders will probably reoffend if they can get out of the house. And so they're doing it for a profit. They're buying these homes, they're putting these sex offenders in them in communities across Washington state. I do know that our community is planning a rally over on the west side to show up at one of the businesses of these folks.
That's amazing. I actually have another idea for you. I think what you guys should do is the next time something goes up near Bob Ferguson's house or any of these Democrats, find somebody who's interested in buying real estate. And then they announce that they're going to turn it into one of these things and watch the Democrats all of a sudden become not in favor of them. What do you say?
I think that they shouldn't be letting them off McNeil Island. Would be the first thing. I mean, the reason these guys are on an island is because they're the worst of the worst. And
they really
are. Letting them off the island would be the first thing. I would say let's take a bunch of Climate Commitment Act and fix that prison up for them so they could never get out. And that would be my.
I think that's a much better approach than my idea. My idea is more at the troll level. Yours is more at the practical level. That's why you're in the legislature and I'm behind a microphone. House Republican Floor Leader April Connors, thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Ari.
Always a pleasure. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for fighting so hard on behalf of all of us. When we come back, my friends, part of the Pacific Science Center is going up for sale. The only profitable part. What's going to happen to the rest of it? We'll tell you what's happening when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Just a reminder, my friends, we have less than 10 spots left for Steak of the Union. We were out at Daniel's Broiler in Bellevue earlier today, scoping it out for Steak of the Union, where we are going to enjoy New York steaks while watching our president, your president too, Donald Trump, give the State of the Union address on February 24th. I've never been to Daniel's Broiler in Bellevue before. The place is gorgeous. If you haven't been there before, they have beautiful views. I mean, if there's sunset coming through those windows while I'm doing my broadcast, the live broadcast, which you get to watch, it's going to be awesome. Also, my friends, the drink menu, I'm giggling at a few of the suggestions we gave them today. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but you have to sign up right now because we are going to sell out soon. They said they always see an uptick in people signing up for the event in the afternoon. I wonder why. So sign up right now because I'm worried about you getting closed out. Sign up now at KVI.com. Head on over to KVI.com. Sign up for Steak of the Union right now. Saw this news from the Seattle Times earlier today. The Seattle's Pacific Science Center is selling part of its property to the owners of the Space Needle. The private nonprofit, which operates the museum that sits on land adjacent to but separate from the Seattle Center, is selling 20 to 25% of its total property, namely the Boeing IMAX Theater, Building 1, the Carnivale Pavilion, and a portion of the Ackerley Family Exhibit Gallery. Time out for a second. It's been a long time since I've been to the Pacific Science Center because it's really started to suck. Let's be real about this. They have the same exhibits there from when my kids were little kids, and my kids are now of drinking age. Let's go over that for a second. I mean, it used to be great when they would bring in the traveling exhibits. We saw the Star Wars thing was great. The Lego thing was great. The Harry Potter thing was great. I haven't seen them bring anything like that in years. So when you would go see the special exhibit, and then you would take your kid over the water thing or the Mercury capsule or the butterfly house. But aside from that, it's really just the IMAX Theater, and I got to say, the IMAX Theater, the nice one, the pretty one, ain't looking so good anymore, and the nicer one is actually the smaller one where you're closer to the theater. Does this include the Laser Dome, too? I don't think they mentioned the Laser Dome.
I don't know. Is the Laser Dome still a thing there?
I assume it's still a thing. I mean, go in there with a black light, and holy cow, I don't know what you're going to find from teenagers who've been in there before. I used to take teenage trips there, and then I realized what I was taking them to, and I'm like, we are not doing this ever again. But the Science Center, I mean, they haven't done anything real in ages, really years. It's showing its age, too. Everything there just looks, well, it looks like it's left over from the World's Fair or the late 1980s. Aside from that, they haven't touched a thing. I mean, I don't know if it's they can't get these traveling exhibits anymore. Anytime I hear about a traveling exhibit, I always go, oh, is it coming to the Science Center? I stopped looking ages ago because they just don't come anymore. I mean, you had, for example, the Stranger Things experience went to some warehouse in Georgetown. The Friends experience went to some warehouse in Georgetown. It's never the Pacific Science Center, and they have all these open buildings for special exhibits. Is anybody surprised by any of this? I had Science Center membership for a short amount of time because it gets you access at all these other science centers, and then I realized it just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth it at all. I hope that the Space Needle people who like to make money will actually do a good job with this because, look, I think having a science center, having a museum like that is a valuable resource. I don't want to lose the IMAX theaters. I hope they do more things. I hope they fix them up. I hope to make them all pretty-like and updo the sound system, which haven't been redone since I moved here. I hope they do that because I actually like frequenting these places, but I don't go because there's no reason to. I think the last few times I've actually been to the IMAX theaters was when we had press screenings there. I really do hope they fix it up. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from James in Bonnie Lake. James, what's going on?
Hey, Ari. Hey, sorry, a little off topic. This was last week, but I was out in Bonnie Lake, and I'm being honest, I had no idea all that stuff was going on. But I pull up to the Bonnie Lake High School, and I happen to hit the light, and there's about at least 100 students right out there on the sidewalk. Their tippy toes were on the curb, almost out into the street, and they had their signs. And I thought, oh, pep rally, I'll support it. Mm-hmm. So I'm driving by. You couldn't drive by at speed because it was so dangerous.
Yeah,
they're right on the road. And as I drive by, I give them a thumbs up and I hit the horn, yay! And then what did I get back from them? Hey, yay, yay, okay. And then I finally see Balish ice, down with ice. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. And as I'm driving by, my wife had just got me a brand new bearskin hoodie, and she bought it, and I got the Velcro flag, American flag, and I had it on the right side of my arm, and they all started cheering. They thought I was cheering them on, and as soon as they saw the flag on my shoulder, all the way down, the cheers went from "Yay! Boo!" just booing me, thumbs down. They were so close. They were tapping on my window, on my mirror, which I thought was dangerous. And then the worst part of it is that, yes, who do you think was standing out there cheering it all on, witnessing this whole thing, and laughed and didn't run up and go, "Oh, guys, we don't do that kind of stuff." No. The teachers were down there raising the signs and kind of like in defiance, and they didn't say, "Oh, sorry, sir, that happened to you." Not at all. So then today I just said, you know what? I'm going to call the school and say, you know what? My property taxes and our mortgage just went up again because of the taxes, which we don't mind paying. We're law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. When I called up there, I did not get any support, not one "sorry, sir, that happened to you." It was from the principal. He was defiant. He not once said, "Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you and you experienced that." He was, "Our kids have the right to the First Amendment too, and they all chose to do this on their own." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, this is what they buy into now. Unfortunately, this is who's running the thing. I mean, the principal allows the teachers to do this, so they 100% buy into it. And as we mentioned, now you have a woman who got assaulted because of it. Now the school's liable for this, especially if staff is there. James, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We have a small correction. Matt G says the Friends exhibit went to Pacific Place. You are right. It was a Pacific Place. I'm thinking that it was the Van Gogh thing went to the same place Stranger Things did. That's right. But still, none of it at the Science Center. What was the last big exhibit that went to the Science Center? What, maybe the Harry Potter thing? And that was what, 10, 15 years ago now at this point when they brought in all the stuff from the movie? Anybody surprised by any of this? No, of course not. So that's probably why they're selling the things. Because now nobody's really going to the thing anymore. That's just how bad it's gotten over there, which is sad. Like I say, I really want it to be good. When we come back, my friends, final hour free-for-all. Your calls, your text, and your chances to win fantabulous prizes. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, some local officials are urging their municipality to call 911 to report ICE. But before we get to any of that, we go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line for our final hour free-for-all. Take a call for John in Issaquah. John, what's going on?
Ari, how are you?
I'm doing just peachy. There's a beautiful sunset right outside my window. Yeah. I'm loving this clear day today. How are you?
I'm sitting here at the base of Tiger Mountain watching hang gliders or paragliders fly off the mountain. It's pretty spectacular.
That's awesome. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
If I had a scotch in my hand, that'd be the perfect day you're describing right there.
Come on, Seattle paragliding, baby. Mark Cherico will take care of you. Take this tandem gliding. My wife did it. She said it was one of the most peaceful, beautiful experiences she's ever had.
I'll tell you what, you drop me an email, and when my wife and I do our summer excursions, we will come see you. She won't do it, but I will.
No, I see my neighbor, Mark Cherico. He's the best.
Well, you tell me about it. We will come out and do this. I am fine with promoting KVI listeners' businesses. That's fine. What's going on, man?
There you go.
Yeah.
So yesterday, me and my 86-year-old, my friend's mother, I was taking her to work, and my wife to a doctor's appointment, went through downtown Issaquah, and I almost ran over the kids from Issaquah High School.
Oh, the crazy thing we just played? You saw all that insanity?
The crazy thing. I saw that insanity, almost hit one of them. I yelled at him, get back on the sidewalk, because there was a girl, they were like tippy-toeing on the sidewalk there, and one of them came off the thing backwards, completely oblivious to traffic. I almost hit her, and there was a couple other people that I almost hit, not trying to. And so I yelled at him and said, hey, get up off the sidewalk. Somebody threw ice at the car and threw some nice expletives at us. So anyways, I just drove off and got back on the freeway, and then I dropped my wife off and called the high school because I'm an Issaquah property owner and don't want my property taxes increasing because somebody's going to get run over.
Yeah.
And on that whole thing. And so when I called, the first thing that she said was, I'm not going to give you my name. The second thing she said is, the students have the right to exercise their First Amendment rights.
Okay.
And I said, what about liability
does that
for
include
them being
throwing
off?
ice at vehicles? Does that include that?
That's what I said. They said, well, what they do when they're off there is blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I want to talk to your principal. And so she said, well, I'm going to transfer you to some number. She transferred me to their attendance line. And what the attendance line is, spell the name of your student. Well, I don't have a student at Issaquah High School. I got a student in Issaquah School District, but not the high school. So I hung up and called back and said, are you trying to irritate me?
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, okay, I'll put you in touch with the principal. So I got on the line with the principal. The principal went out of her way. The first thing to say, the students have the First Amendment right, the right to express their freedom of expression, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, when I went to Issaquah High School, when I skipped class, the first thing they did was give me detention. The second thing they did was that they suspended me. And then they said, if you skip again, we're going to expel you. And then I skipped again, and they expelled me. They kicked me out of Issaquah High School.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, well, sir, things have really changed since, you were a kid. So, are you saying I'm old? Right? So
are you saying we're softer on them? Yeah.
We're not getting off on the right foot here, ma'am, right? So it just devolved from there. But anyway, she said no. And I asked her, I said, I'm an Issaquah property tax holder. I pay property taxes. My property taxes go up every year. I have no say in what's going on other than voting. And I said, so are my taxes going to go up when these kids get hurt? And she went out of her way to say, we are not responsible for those kids at all. We bear no responsibility for them if they leave campus. And I said, why aren't you out there monitoring these kids, right? Well, I'm not going to get in my car and drive down there. I've got things to do here at the school. And blah, blah, blah. And then,
but their email said they were ensuring student safety. John, do me a favor.
They didn't say anything about that.
You want to have some fun
to
today?
Me.
You want to have some fun today? Do me a favor. Call them back tomorrow when they're back in school. Call them back tomorrow morning, okay? And ask them if they're letting the kids out for the Seahawks game, for the Seahawks parade.
Okay.
Okay? And just tell me what they said.
The Issaquah Police Department.
Yeah.
and asked them. I said, somebody needs to get a handle on these kids because they're going to get hit. And so he said, sir, those kids have the right to their First Amendment. And
What,
they can
somebody
go out
send
there
out
and
the
peacefully
talking
protest.
points? They're stealing ice, they're assaulting people, and they're throwing things at cars while diving into traffic. Did the talking points go out? Oh, it's a mostly peaceful riot or whatever it is?
Right. But
That's
I said,
crazy.
they asked me what my name was. I said, it's not important what my name is. My name is John Q. Citizen. I don't want to be doxxed.
Yeah.
And then I said, and I said, you know, I almost hit these kids, right? And you said, oh, and then I got off the phone. 5 minutes later, I got a phone call from Officer Hancock at the Issaquah Police Department who said, so you intentionally tried to hit these kids?
Oh, my God. This
And
sounds
he said,
so...
He knew my name. And I said, you know, hey, this is what happened when I went to Issaquah School. Well, you know, things have changed since you went to high school in the 1970s and 80s.
What
I'm
did
like,
they
how do you
have?
know
Did
that?
they have a group therapy session where they all sit down and discuss this together?
I don't know, but they all said the same thing. These kids have the
All
right
right.
to First
Here's what we're going to do,
Amendment.
John. I'm calling them tomorrow. I'm going to call them tomorrow. And maybe we'll see if we can get
Talk to
consent
Officer
for air.
Hancock.
Officer Hancock. We're going to make some calls tomorrow and see if maybe they'll consent to being on the radio. John, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Craig in Puyallup. Craig, what's up, man?
Wow, John's tough to follow, but it's funny. There are people right now, districts asking for vote yes for the school districts. Their timing might be off a little bit. Going back a little bit to the Seattle Center, my first experience, I think I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
My great uncle took me over there. We saw some exhibits and stuff. It was great. And we're sitting there looking at this really cool fountain. And then I watched this hippie-looking dude walk out there in the middle of the fountain and undress and take a shower. Okay, so we're talking like, you know, very early 70s.
Sure.
Great.
So
Hey,
we've come
time
full
goes by.
circle. We've come full circle is what you're saying, all the way back to that.
I'm in high school. We zip down there. Hey, we have fun. Everything's great. A few years go by. My daughter wants to see Laserium. I'm like, ugh. All right, we'll bring something to sit on. We went down there. I got to introduce my daughter to rats running all over the place.
Yeah, that sounds
down there.
about right.
It was like, this is a mess. On our way out, we hear this, hey, and anyway, my daughter, what's that? And I look over, and it's a couple of naked people on an outdoor stage. So tell me why I ought to come back. I don't know.
Well, here's a better
I
one.
understand there's areas you can go to see that kind of thing.
Hey, hang on, Craig. You've lived here longer than me, clearly, right? So I know that they just took down the gates to let people into the Pacific Science Center. Now, this time of year, they don't have water in the fountains, right? But I'm thinking to myself, when did they put up those gates? And taking them back down, as soon as the water goes there, do you know what's right near the Pacific Science Center? Right now, on the back of the Children's Theater, right across from the Armory, there's a hygiene station for the homeless. What do you think's going to happen when they open up the gates of the Science Center? You're going to have naked people next to the stones of the dinosaurs.
With the added smell feature, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think this is how you clean up the Science Center, right? I think they're going to do a gangbuster job with all that. Craig, appreciate the stories. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Jay in Des Moines. Jay, what's going on?
Hey, Ari, I was thinking about that guy that from Issaquah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, you know, if they make the argument that the kids have the right to protest, that's fine. But don't do it on my taxpayer time. You know, have them do it on the weekend or something.
Right, exactly. You know what? If they said we want to give them extra credit for protesting, would I still rake them over the coals? Absolutely. But at least I would say it's extracurricular. It's not the curriculum. Here's how you raise activists. Yeah, you're not wrong there, Jay. This is what they are spending your taxpayer dollars on. And then they say, why do we not have enough money? Because all these kids, all these parents are pulling their kids out of the school. Oh, help me, right?
Yeah. Also, I said it to earlier. I don't know if it's... But if I saw you in person, Ari, I'd probably be Star Trek, and I'd probably be standing there just going, whoa. Ari Hoffman.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. But, my friend, good opportunity for you. We got State of the Union coming up on February 24th. We got just a few spots left. If you want to come, you can see us there. And the other place you can see us tomorrow is at the parade, actually. We'll be down at the parade on 4th and Lenora. So I'll be in both those places. You want to come see me, man?
Yeah, I don't go to Seattle, Ari. I don't know how in the world you go there.
How I live here and work here. But don't worry, Stake of the Union's in Bellevue. Stake of the Union is in Bellevue. So you're fine. It's at the Pretty Daniels Broiler. And when you look out the window of buildings in Bellevue, you don't see people doing the Fenty fold. Yes, you can have a normal place. So I think everybody should come on out to Bellevue and go, this is what Seattle could be if we didn't elect crazy lunatic liberals all the time. Jay, appreciate the call, appreciate the kind words, appreciate the compliment. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Mike in Bellevue. Mike, what's going on?
Man, I cannot top the guy from Issaquah, but I'll try.
You're the second and third one to say that now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I have property also in that same vicinity and pay taxes, so God bless you on that. No, what I want to talk to you is that we builders, I'm a builder here in the greater Seattle area, and we take a legislative call every Tuesday morning to see what the update is. So when our lobbyists were asked the question, what's the legislature thinking of the 61,000 people that signed in con, the answer from the chief lobbyist on the Democrat side was, they're thinking that Brian Haywood created a bot to work around the "Am I a Human" firewall.
Wait a second. Who said this to you?
So this is what I got from my lobbyists, and if you want, I'll give you names off the air. And that the Democrats are saying that Brian created a bot to work around their firewall, so they don't think the 61,000 is a real number.
I'll tell you what. Let's do a little experiment. How about a little experiment, shall we? To KVI Nation, if you signed in con on the income tax, do me a favor, just send me a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. That says, I'm not a bot. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757.
Yeah, a lot of people couldn't even get in because
the thing kept crashing. Let me tell you something. If Brian Haywood or Ari Hoffman or anybody else created a bot to do all those signatures, why do they think it would only be 61,000? Wouldn't it be 100,000? Would it be 200,000? Wouldn't it be 1 million people, right? Wouldn't it be that?
Yeah,
exactly. Right? Why do they think it would only be 61,000? No, the fact that it's 61,000 shows it was real people.
Well, if you add the 1 and 6 together, it's a 7, and we know 7's kind of a mysterious number.
Oh,
right?
There we go. Oh, there we go. Full gematria, as we say.
Thanks, Ari, for all you do.
Appreciate the call.
Very kind of you to say. Go Hawks.
All right, go Hawks. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. We're going to be on 4th and Lenora. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Tom out in Randall Island. Tom, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Questions.
Yeah.
I know that the school districts have a door-to-door policy. From the time they pick you up to the time they drop you off, they are responsible for the student.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Let a bunch of kids go out and parade for Trump and see if they still give him that First Amendment right.
Oh, this is great. You know what we should do? We should reach out to all those high school clubs run by Turning Point USA. And we should say, hey, for State of the Union, we're all going to go outside and march for Trump. Can we have the excused absences then? Truth is, I don't think the kids should be leaving school at all. I don't think they should be leaving school for the parade tomorrow. But I think if they're going to allow this, you know what? Wait a second. I got something better. I think we should let them go outside to hold up signs for KVI and the Ari Hoffman show. I think that's what we should do, right? Don't do that, kids. Don't do that. I don't want the legal liability. But I think we should tell them to do that and watch how quickly that gets shut down by the schools.
Oh, yes, in a heartbeat.
Right. Wait, Ari Hoffman, that guy who gets our emails somehow from disgruntled employees? We don't want him out there. Maybe he'll print up our emails or say them on air or something. Oh, yes, so true, Tom, so true. I mean, what do you think would have happened? Let me put this out there to you. What do you think would have happened if a whole bunch of Trump supporters set up an encampment in the middle of the University of Washington quad Because I think what would happen was Bob Ferguson would bring Jay Inslee out of retirement. Bob Ferguson and Nick Brown would go down there with the National Guard and say, we are stopping these far-right extremists, don't you think?
Oh, exactly.
Right. They won't
Always
stop
good
the
for them,
Hamas
not good for
supporters,
us.
but they'll stop us, right? Appreciate the call, man. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Larry in Magnolia says, Ari, I'm going to call the school. I think he's talking about Issaquah High School, and tie up their phone line for as long as it takes for me to say ice is nice. Oh, you guys crack me up. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Chris in Bonnie Lake. Chris, what's going on?
All right, buddy. I'm so glad the gentleman brought up the 60,000 were possibly a bot. You were talking about this last week.
Yeah.
And I want to know if, so they think the 60,000 that were against it were bots. Does that same analysis apply to the 16,000 that signed up pro?
Ah, there you go. I was about to bring that up, but you beat me to it. Or wait a second. How about this one? Wait a second. I'll let you finish. All right? I got one thing to say, then I'll let you finish, Kanye West style. All right? Rob in Port Orchard, John in Lakewood, Jennifer in Graham, Pam in Lake Stevens, Larry in Magnolia, people from the 425-253-253-206-360. My text line is blowing up with people going, I am not a bot. My favorite is Pam in Lake Stevens goes, I'm real. Yes, of course they're not bots. They're listeners of the Ari Hoffman show. Oh, wait a second. Hang on. Now they're going to try and ban us next. Right, Chris?
It's just unbelievable that, if it's against us, it's just fake. But if it's pro us, it's grassroots.
Yes, exactly right. By the way, you know what this reminds me of? Remember when SEIU said that all the signature gatherers were being paid and committing fraud and all that? And then the only example we could find of that actually happening with fraudulent signatures was SEIU.
Them.
Right. So wait a second. You know what I actually wonder? Were those 19,000 or whatever it was that signed up pro this thing, were they the bots? And that's why they're accusing us of doing it. And they did such a terrible job programming them because they're a bunch of socialists that they only got the 19,000. Do you think do you think that holds water, Chris?
Absolutely.
Okay. See, that's what I think it is. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. Okay, Steve, Gunny, both say, I'm not a bot. The 206 says, I'm not a bot. The texts just keep coming in and coming in. This one, John in Lakewood, says he's down to set up an encampment in Red Square with 1,000 MAGA bros. All right, I don't know if we're going to find those in Seattle, man. I know most of our friends don't really live in the Seattle area, but sure, let's go camping at University of Washington. Will be lots of fun. All right, my friends, we're going to take a little break right now because when we come back, we will get to the insane story about how local officials are urging people to call 911 on ice. Plus, more of your calls, more of your texts. But first, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast, right now on The Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Now is your chance to win two tickets to Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena on August 3rd. I know all of you are filling up my text line right now, telling me you're not a bot, which is really funny to me. But now that you know the number, here's your chance to win the tickets. So all you have to do is enter the keyword I tell you to the number I tell you. Don't give me your name, address. Don't say I'm not a bot, and here's the keyword. Just the keyword. And you'll be entered for a chance to win two tickets to Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena on August 3rd. The word is star, like shooting star, like superstar, but just the word star. Text STAR to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Also, while I'm giving you action items, we have less than 10 spots left for Stake of the Union. We are going to sell out this week. I don't want you to get closed out. So make sure you sign up for Stake of the Union right now. In fact, I have this text right here from Bebin, who is saying, "Hi, Ari, is it safe for a single person to go to Stake of the Union?" Yes. Let me tell you why. You're in a room with conservatives. Conservatives, we look out for each other, and we really like the Second Amendment. No, that's not why. The reason is because there's an elevator that goes into the complex from the parking garage, and you're in Bellevue. What do you got to be worried about in Bellevue? It's not Seattle. If you're single, we'll put you with friends at a table. You'll have a great time. If you don't know anybody, you know me. I'm there. You get to watch the live broadcast. So sign up for Stake of the Union right now at KVI.com. That's KVI.com. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Barb. Barb, what's going on?
Hi, Barb. Long-time listener. We've talked a few times. I am an educator, and I've worked for 25-plus years, and I work in a local school district, and I'm appalled by what they're sending out and the messages that the superintendent has regurgitated from Chris Reichel at OSPI.
Do you think this is messaging that's coming from Chris Reichel? Because if somebody has access to those emails and they happen to send them to ARI@KVI.com, we'd be more than happy to get the word out there.
Well, I think that talking points are coming from him. I mean, he's given the districts all the verbiage of what to say to the parents. And I'm a very strong promoter of education, but I voted no for the levy because if they're going to let kids be out on the streets unsafe and protesting and being criminal activity to cars passing by, then I don't think they deserve our hard-earned tax dollars.
I completely agree with you, and that's very noble of you to say. In fact, Barb, I'll tell you this. If you ever want to send anything that's going on in whatever district it is that you work in, and you want us to shed some light on it, feel free to contact me at that email address, ari@kvi.com, anytime you want.
Okay. Thank you, Ari.
I appreciate you calling in, and I really appreciate you being brave enough to do so, because a lot of other people, they're just a little scared of what might happen to them. So, Barb, really do appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
Such a pleasure. See, there are good people in the education system, my friends. There are good people out there. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Carrie in Kent. Carrie, what's going on?
Hey, Ari. I think that everyone who listens to your show and KVI and talk radio in general needs to get a big button or a T-shirt that says, "I am not a bot," in big letters, and wear it anytime you go to a town hall or anytime you go to Olympia to testify or even just to walk around or even to talk to anybody. Wear those T-shirts. I want all the legislators to see everyone wearing T-shirts or big buttons that say, "I am not a bot."
You know what? I got a friend who runs T-shirt things. You know this friend. You know who this friend is. I think we should talk to him.
I do.
I think we should talk to him about T-shirts that say on the front, "Not a bot," and on the back say, "No income tax." I think that's just, it's as simple as that, right?
I've actually already talked with him, and he's ready for it.
You reminded me, I actually have to call him about Stake of the Union and have an idea for him, so I actually have to remember to DM him tonight. Carrie, I love the idea. You know what I think would be fun? A rally in Olympia where we do it on a Sunday. We do it on a Sunday or something, so like I can come, right? But we do something like that where we all come out on the weekend and we just take a picture of everybody in their shirts that say, "I'm not a bot."
I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
Sounds awesome. Let me talk to a few people about that, Carrie, okay?
All right. night.
All right. Fantastic. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one here from the 360. I'm running solo at the Stake of the Union. Booked a hotel because I'm hoping to have a few scotches with Ari and don't want to drive home. Oh, that's excellent. Remember, we're almost out of space for Stake of the Union. Sign up right now. Okay, now the story I've been promising you for 2 segments. So we have Seattle area officials who are now telling people to call 911 not to report crime, but to report ICE. After being accused of working with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, city officials in Linwood, Washington are reaffirming their commitment to inclusivity and transparency by encouraging residents to call 911 on suspected ICE activity. Mayor George Hurst, Chief of Police Cole Langdon, wrote in a letter obtained by us, the city of Linwood is steadfast in its belief that our community members from across the world belong and are welcome. For weeks, we have witnessed the senseless acts of violence in Minneapolis against protesters who are standing up against questionable removal of their neighbors at the hands of ICE and the federal government. We have experienced ICE activity in our own community. During times of unrest, rumors and misinformation begin to swirl, and the lines between reality and fiction become blurred. There have been questions, comments, and confusion about the city, specifically Linwood's police department's involvement with this activity. The two then doubled down on complying with the 2019 Keep Washington Working Act, which is what made Washington a so-called sanctuary state, where the pair said they're going to restrict the involvement of state and local law enforcement in enforcing civil federal immigration law. If you see this activity in our community or are unsure about a situation involving an unmarked vehicle, please call 911. So now you want to tie up 911 resources reporting, wait for it, law enforcement? Reporting federal law enforcement? That's what you want to do. Hurst and Langdon, I don't know if the police chief there is an elected or appointed position. Hurst and Langdon should never hold office again. They should not. In fact, now I'm going to make it my mission. You know, Linwood, excuse me, it was Linwood, right? Yeah, Linwood isn't usually on my radar. But now we are going to make it a point to make sure to get this guy, Mayor Hurst, out of office. Somebody tell me when this guy's up for re-election. I'm going to make it my mission to back a candidate against this guy just for this. If you have the details on that, you email me or call me. Email me, ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com. You send that information on over to me, and we will make sure that this person does not hold public office ever again. I do love all these texts coming in. I'm not a bot. They're all from different phone numbers. They're all putting their name next to it. Oh, people really like Carrie's idea, by the way. I love the idea of I'm not a bot t-shirt and buttons. I love this. This is great. Oh, this one here, I'm not a bot, but my wife is? Oh, that's not nice. You calling her a fembot? Okay, well, actually, that worked out okay for Austin Powers. All right, when we come back, my friends, more of your calls, more of your texts. Plus, Representative Dan Newhouse is going to be stopping by to tell us how he's standing up for my First Amendment rights, Brandy Cruz's First Amendment rights, and Jonathan Cho's First Amendment rights. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. we've been talking today about the fact that press passes were denied to me, Brandy Cruz, and Jonathan Cho. And in fact, our own Washington congressional delegation, at least the Republican side of it, is calling out the Washington state legislature for the fact that they are clearly doing a First Amendment violation. Joining us now on the Warrior Injury Line to discuss, our very own congressman from Washington, Dan Newhouse. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir.
All right. It's always a pleasure to be with you, to talk to somebody sane in my day. I can't tell you how much that means.
I got to say, it's always nice to say the Republican from Washington because there's not that many. And I live in the heart of Seattle, so you know which ones represent me, and it's very, very hard. So, Congressman.
Well, the good news is we've got two, Michael Baumgartner, and possibility of maybe adding a third. You never know.
That would be even better. We have high hopes for 2026. So you and Congressman Baumgartner wrote this great letter calling out the Washington legislature for their actions of denying these press passes. And first of all, I just want to thank you for that. But second of all, why'd you decide to do this? I mean, federal doesn't really have any control over local, but it was nice that you guys stood up and said something.
Well, that's a good point. The decisions we make do have an impact on citizens throughout the country, but this is kind of I guess you could say, a state issue. But both of us, Michael Baumgartner and myself, are alumni of the Washington State Legislature. That I was a House member; he was in the Senate. The legislative branch in the state of Washington is a big part of my life, and I'm a citizen of the state of Washington, and I want to make sure that my state treats its taxpayers as fairly as possible. And when I see something like this, that truly is a blatant step to take away someone's First Amendment rights, oh my gosh, why wouldn't you stand up and say something? This is a constitutional issue that both Michael and I feel very strongly about, and it needs to be called out. And so that's why we're using our platform. So hopefully we'll be able to reach some people that maybe wouldn't otherwise have heard it, but to lend whatever weight we can to the issue and make sure we get this rectified.
It's amazing to me that the two of you have courage that the entire media doesn't. Because I haven't heard from the Seattle Times, I haven't heard from any of the TV outlets out here, I haven't heard from anybody about this. In fact, what I have seen happen is that they said we couldn't have press passes because we advocate for issues. And as I say all the time, I would rather know the bias a news outlet has. Look, we know what the stranger's bias is, right? We know the editorial board of the Seattle Times. We know the bias all these guys have. Just be clear about it. We happen to be clear about it. But what upset me the most was that they said we, at the Washington State Legislature, the House, said that me, Brandy, and Jonathan advocate for issues. And then the very next day, the entire mainstream media is out at the Washington legislature advocating for a tax on big tech so that it could benefit news agencies. So that means, by their standards, nobody should get a press pass. And I think everybody should have one because I believe in the First Amendment. And if I get to be there, then guess what? The Stranger or the Seattle Times or whoever else gets to be there. But it's crazy that this could not be more cut and dry, and this is the hill they've chosen to die on.
It's really just an amazing position to take. Being in politics for a long time myself, it's hard for me to accept members of the press or administration in the Washington State's legislature to say that mainstream press are not advocates or they don't express their opinions. I've been the subject and been participated in several elections in my lifetime. And every single time, Ari, newspapers around my district have come out with either pro or con against my candidacy. So what is that? Is that advocacy? Is that taking a position on an issue? There's always op-eds in every single newspaper. They have a page dedicated to the publisher of the newspaper stating his opinion on, everything under the sun. So what's the difference? To me, it's I don't know, what kind of comparison can you make? The pot calling the kettle black, it's really a hypocritic way to look at things. And, I'm sorry that the three of you got, picked out to make a point by the Speaker of the House, but she's wrong. The chief clerk is wrong, and I hope that they restore your passes so that you can talk to people that represent citizens across the state of Washington where they work.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think what they're worried about is we call out things that other people don't. We're talking with Congressman Dan Newhouse from our very own Washington state. And you wrote a great op-ed for the Center Square talking about the income tax. And recently we saw that over 60,000 people registered no for the income tax, registered con for it. And when you see that they don't want to answer, they are claiming it's all bots. I know I signed it. I know a lot of other people signed it. But you wrote this great op-ed calling out what this could actually do to our state.
Well, I'm blessed the people that stood up and made sure their voices were heard. That's got to be some kind of a record. I don't know if it is. Maybe you can look at that for me.
Mm-hmm.
But 60,000 people signing in against, that's awesome. But the leaders of the state of Washington have to know the impact and the consequences of what instituting this millionaires tax would do. And I don't want to put sunlight on somebody to get them in trouble, but you know very well our friend Larry Springer from the other side of the aisle, what he said about this in an interview prior to the session. He was asked if people should be concerned. Will this become, a tax? Will this grow into a tax that everybody else is going to see? And he said, well, yes, you should be concerned, or words to that effect. This is the start. It's the beginning. As you well know, no tax is ever reduced. It's expanded. It's increased. And it could be a millionaire's tax today, but as many people are saying, it's going to hit every person in the state at some point. But something that's very important to know about this millionaire's tax, and I take umbrage to that because it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or not. If your gross receipts are in the millions, you're going to pay a tax, kind of like the B&O tax in a way. We're just telling employers across the state that we don't want you anymore. If you're going to earn money in the state of Washington, sorry, you're not welcome. That's what the message that the legislature will be sending if they pass this. If the governor pushes this, that's the message he's going to be sending. And guess what? These businesses employ people in our state. We need to have them. We need to have people working, earning a living, paying those taxes that are fair. We don't want an exodus out of our state to Idaho or other business-friendly states. That's just going to make everything so difficult. So this is very short-sighted. I hope they reconsider what they're trying to do. It's not going to solve all the problems that face the state. It's just going to create a whole bunch more.
Yep, I would completely agree with that. Just before we let you go, Congressman, so you're going to have a chance to read into a congratulations to the Seahawks into the Congressional Record? Or is that something we're going to be doing tomorrow for the parade?
Oh, that's a great thing. It's just a coincidence. They should be ready for that, yeah.
Yeah.
But, no, it's congratulations to the Seahawks and all the fans. It's just a great thing. And, yes, we've got a resolution that's should be public by that point. I'm hoping it will be.
Fantastic. Congressman Dan Newhouse, thank you so much, not just for joining us today, but also taking a stand when so many other people don't. And please convey my thanks to Representative Baumgartner as well. It was really nice of you guys to step up for all of us. We do appreciate it.
Will do. Sure will, Ari, and always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. So kind of you to say. We love having you on the show. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Before we get to our good news headlines, 2 quick announcements. Number 1, we are almost sold out of Stake of the Union. I don't want you to get closed out. We had less than 10 when the show began, and people started texting me saying they signed up. So do not get closed out. Go to kvi.com right now. Enjoy Steaks with me. Live broadcast of the Ari Hoffman Show out at Daniel's Broiler in Bellevue. Live broadcast. We get to watch our president give the State of the Union address. Enjoy some steaks. Enjoy some scotches. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be the best steak you've ever had, the greatest steak. So sign up right now before you miss out on your chance. Number 2, tomorrow is the parade for the Seahawks. We will be set up at 4th and Lenora. There's a Jiffy Lube over there. We're going to be in their parking lot, right over there along the parade route. So if you want to make sure you're not with Antifa, wait a second, you're with me. Antifa might, no, I'm totally kidding. Okay, if you want to make sure you're with like-minded people who enjoy sports and America, come find us at 4th and Lenora. That's where KVI is going to be set up along with our sister stations. Come find us over there. I will be there. So I can't wait to see you guys in person and celebrate the Seahawks together. I think that's all the announcements I have for today. Yes, that's all I got for right now. Okay, now with all the Seahawks news, we may have forgotten the Olympics are going on. And this is the second press release I've gotten from the War Department with good news about the Olympics and our armed forces members. According to the Department of War, Air Force Staff Sergeant Kelly Curtis, a knowledge operations technician assigned to the 31st Fighter Wing Communications Squadron in Italy, is preparing to represent Team USA on the world's biggest stage for the second time at the 2026 Olympics. Qualifying for the Olympics is brutally competitive. Only 232 American athletes earn spots to represent the U.S. in Italy. The news station NBC Olympics reported that thousands of athletes competed through years of races, rankings, and trials to qualify for the Games. For Curtis, this is a moment of culmination of years of discipline, sacrifice, and resilience, both as an athlete and as an airman. Quote, when I first asked the Air Force World-Class Athlete Program if I could be assigned to the Aviano Air Base, the goal was always these Olympic Games. 4 years ago, I qualified for my first Games in Beijing, but Milano Cortina was always the plan. Raised in a highly competitive household, Curtis grew up immersed in athletics. As the youngest of 4 siblings, she credits her upbringing and her father's experience as a former NFL player for shaping her drive. Quote, I was always able to keep up, Curtis said. I competed in everything, wrestling, track, and field, softball, baseball, basketball. I never specialized in a sport early, and I believe that helped me more than anything. Also, not getting offended by the term airman probably helped as well as a woman. Her diverse athletic foundation eventually evolved from traditional collegiate sports to bobsled, ultimately to the skeleton, an event that demands power, precision, and fearlessness. By the way, I've gone bobsledding before. I would never, ever do that again. It is horrifying. Balancing Olympic-level training with military readiness wasn't always easy. As a mother, non-commissioned officer, and a world-class athlete, Curtis describes her daily routine as a careful balancing act made possible by strong leaders and teamwork within the 31st Communications Squadron. Staff Sergeant Curtis' ability to balance the demands of military service and world-class competition shows our airmen that anything is possible so long as you're passionate, dedicated, and driven to reach a goal, says Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Williams, 31st Communications Squadron commander. While leaders point to her example, Curtis points back to her team, emphasizing that their confidence in her allows her to carry the same focus and discipline from the workplace to the world stage. Quote, my leadership has been incredible. From my commander to my superior, they've been extremely accommodating while still ensuring I'm fulfilling all my responsibilities as an airman. Their trust frees me to focus when it's time to perform. As the current point leads for Skeleton on the U.S. team, Curtis prepares to carry more than her personal goals on the frozen track. She also carries the weight of family legacy representing the Air Force. Despite the pressure, Curtis remains grounded in the values that brought her to this point, discipline and resilience. After the Games, I'll be right back at the Air Force Base doing my job. But for now, I have the privilege of representing the U.S. Air Force on the world stage. I don't take that lightly. At the end of the day, all I can do is prepare the best I can and put it together when it counts. Curtis hopes her journey inspires other airmen to pursue their own athletic ambitions. Reach out, research Air Force sports, and look for the Air Force World-Class Athlete Program, she said. There's more support out there than people realize, from intramural sports all the way to the Olympics. I love those kind of stories. These are the kind of stories that keep me coming back for the Olympics and remind me, don't let 4 woke American athletes who don't want to be representing America destroy the fun for everybody else. If there's 232 American athletes, that means 4 of them suck. But the rest of them, we should be cheering on. Don't let the 4 ruin it for the other 232. That's going to do it for us today, my friends. Fear not, we will be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.